Hi again. This time I am reading Alligator Baby. This is another loved book. Top of the book, bottom of the book, front of the book, back of the book, spine of the book. Open the book. Alligator Baby. One night, Kristen's mother woke up and yelled, "A baby! A baby! I'm having a baby!" Kristen's father jumped up, zoomed around the room, got dressed, and grabbed Kristen's mother by the hand. They ran downstairs to the car and drove off really fast. Vroom! Unfortunately, they got lost. They didn't go to the hospital. They went to the zoo. But it was okay. Kristen's mother had a lovely baby. They drove home and knocked on their front door. I like that her hair curlers are coming out. Kristen opened the door, and there was her mother, holding something all wrapped up. "Kristen," she said, "would you like to see your new baby brother?" "Oh, yes," said Kristen. So Kristen lifted up the bottom of the blanket. She saw a long green tail and said, "That's not a people tail." Kristen lifted up the middle of the blanket, saw a green claw and said, "That's not a people claw." Kristen lifted up the top of the blanket, saw a long green face with lots of teeth and said, "That's not a people face. That is not my baby brother." "Oh, Kristen," said her mother, "don't be jealous." What do you think it is? Just then, the baby reached up and bit Kristen's mother on the nose. She yelled, "Ah!" Then the baby reached up and bit her father on the nose. He yelled, "Ah!" "That's not a people baby," said Kristen. "That's an alligator baby." "Goodness," said her mother, "we've got the wrong baby." So Kristen put the alligator baby in the fish tank, and her mother and her father drove back to the zoo. They came back in an hour and knocked on the door. Kristen opened the door, and her mother said, "Would you like to see your new baby brother?" "Oh, yes," said Kristen. Look at the alligator in the fish tank. He's trying to get the fish. Those poor fish. Kristen lifted up the bottom of the blanket, saw a fishy tail, and said, "That's not a people tail." Kristen lifted up the middle of the blanket, saw a flipper, and said, "That's not a people flipper." Kristen lifted up the top of the blanket, saw a face with whiskers, and said, "That's not a people face. That is not my baby brother." "Now, Kristen," said her mother, "don't be jealous. What do you think it is?" Just then the baby reached up with his flipper and flapped her father's face. Whoop, 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 whoop. He yelled, "Ha! It's a seal baby. We got the wrong baby." So Kristen put the seal baby in the bathtub, and her mother and father drove back to the zoo. It flapped Dad in the face. They came back in an hour and knocked on the door. They said, "Kristen, would you like to see your new baby brother?" "Oh, yes," said Kristen. She lifted up the bottom of the blanket, saw a very hairy leg, and said, "That's not a people leg." She lifted up the middle of the blanket, saw a very hairy arm, and said, "That's not a people arm." She lifted up the top of the blanket, saw a very hairy face, and said, "That is not a people face. That is not my baby brother." "Now, Kristen," said her mother, "don't be jealous." Look at the seal in the bathtub. Then the baby reached up with its feet and grabbed her mother's ear and her father's ear, and they both yelled, "Ah! It's a gorilla baby! We've got the wrong baby!" "Let me do it," said Kristen. So her mother and father put the gorilla baby on the chandelier in the living room, and Kristen went off to the zoo on her bicycle. Why do you think she took her bicycle and not the car? First, Kristen looked in the snake cage. No people babies. Then Kristen looked in the wombat cage. No people babies. Then Kristen looked in the elephant cage. No people babies. Then she stopped and listened. From far away she heard, "Wah, wah, wah." "Now that's more like it," said Kristen. She followed the sound. It was coming from the gorilla cage. You see the monkey trying to break out the other monkeys. Kristen looked at the mommy gorilla and said, "Give me back my baby brother." The gorilla jumped away and wouldn't give the baby back at all. Oh, the bananas everywhere. Then the people baby reached up and bit the gorilla on the nose. And the gorilla yelled, "Oh!" and handed the baby back to Kristen. Kristen jumped on her bicycle and pedaled home. The baby in the basket. Kristen knocked on the door. When her parents opened it, she said, "Would you like to see your new baby?" Kristen's mother lifted up the bottom of the blanket and said, "Look, people legs." Then she lifted up the middle of the blanket and said, "Look, people hands." She lifted up the top of the blanket and said, "Look, a people face." Kristen's mother picked up the baby and gave it a big hug. Her father took the baby and gave it a big hug. And her mother said, "Kristen, Kristen, got the baby back. Good for you." "But what are we going to do with all these other babies?" yelled Kristen's father. "There's a seal baby in the bathtub, an alligator baby in the fish tank, and a gorilla baby hanging from the chandelier. We should take them back to the zoo." But Kristen looked out the window and said, all the animals, alligator, all the animals. "I don't think we'll have to do anything at all. What did the mommies do?" Look at that door. I even knocked over this side table over here. And everything was okay until Kristen's mother had twins. Uh-oh, what do you think happened then? Great job listening, everyone. I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.